Okay, so I am making Bok Choy Egg Drop Soup, and since everybody has been asking, I decided to just do a video of how I do this, because it's so easy, and obviously not a professional chef. I don't know the right way to use knives, but it doesn't matter. I'm just chopping up my bok choy. It's already been washed off, and I'm chopping it into, fairly decent-sized chunks of stuff, and throwing it into the pot. And we have a lot of bok choy to cut, so I'm just going to hit pause for a minute, but you've already seen, yeah, that one. Okay, so I'm down to the last piece of bok choy to cut, doing it from a different angle so you can see just how chunky I make it. And we cut this up into big chunks, like this. Just cut it. And we switched to a bigger pot because I realized I was using a really big thing of bok choy, a really big head of bok choy. So there was an awful lot of it. So now we've got, let me have that for 1 second, Rach. We got one big pot full of chopped up bok choy right there.
And we have some eggs.
And we have some eggs, but first things first, we're going to put, that's okay, you can talk a little bit as long as you know what you're saying. Now I'm just using
some chicken broth.
Some chicken broth. And
put it in the pot.
Put it in the pot, exactly.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay.
No, I was showing the boo-boo.
Oh, okay.
Your boo-boo, I don't want to be embarrassed about them.
That's okay, it's just a boo-boo. I'm actually making enough soup for a few days because we eat this like every single day. And bok choy is extremely healthy.
And good for your bodies.
And good for your body.
And a vegetable you can have almost every day.
Yeah, we do have it almost every day, don't we?
Figure.
So now, I'm taking out a bowl.
And I will show you what it looks like.
Don't go too far away. Stay right over here by here. I'm also putting in, I put in tofu.
Tofu.
And that.
Here's what it looks like.
Yep. I think we should probably put this on hold for a second again. Okay, so now it's time for the tofu. This is, you don't have to, but we like it with it. I get the extra firm. This one happens to be the organic extra firm.
Extra firm.
Comes in a big block like this, and then all I do is cut it by slicing it into chunks like this, down and across. And first I go down.
Now tell us, what are the ingredients, Mama?
Alright, that's enough. No side talking from you, little person. And now I'm going to make slices this way of tofu.
Sorry.
It's okay. And I do not use an entire package in a pot of soup, because that's an awful lot of tofu.
Mm-hmm.
But I will use, for this size pot, I'll probably use about half of what I just cut up. And you just kind of, throw it on in there. Get the little chunks separated. Obviously, we're not all that careful about what happens to the tofu, but it goes in. And a little bit more. Okay, so we've got tofu and we've got bok choy. And now, as far as the spices go, we use ground ginger.
Ground ginger.
Again, this is a big pot, so I'm using a decent amount of ground ginger.
I'm not going to...
Okay.
Mama, can you hold this for a minute? I want to show everybody something.
Okay, Here's the ground ginger in the pot. And now I put in
better view.
Some garlic. Granulated garlic.
Garlic.
Like that. And then I put in a little salt. I don't put a lot of salt. You can salt it to taste later. Okay, and I gotta get a spoon. And now we will mix that up a little bit. Just to get the spices all in there and get the tofu mixed in. Because tofu doesn't have much of a flavor except it takes on the flavor of whatever you're cooking it with. So that's why we do it this way. That's all stirred up. And
you can see it's very light green. When it used to be no leaves showing, but now it is.
Right.
But now we will crack the eggs.
Now we do eggs. We do, you know, it depends on how eggy you like your soup. We happen to be big egg fans.
Egg fans.
And so I am making at least
4 eggs.
I think I might actually put in 5 because this is, again, a very large pot of soup. Usually for the next size down pot, I use 4 eggs. And obviously, yeah, I'm not exactly the professional here, but, you know, whatever. I'm going to put this on hold again for a moment because I'm neurotic. Okay, so now I'm just scrambling up the eggs. I started to say before, but Rachel put us on pause already. I'm kind of crazy when it comes to eggs. I don't like the little white thingy that gets stuck on the egg. You know, I don't know, I always called it the umbilical cord. So I always remove those first. But anyway, so I scramble up my eggs.
Sorry about that. Pausing about this stuff.
That's
that
okay.
sentence.
No problem. So we've got the eggs all scrambled and waiting. And as soon as the soup starts to actually boil,
like boop 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 boop
yep,
boop.
stop that. I will add the egg. I think we need to add more chicken broth.
Chicken broth. You
can use you know, any kind of broth you like. I happen to like the Swanson, but if you like, you could do this with stock too. But since we have it so often, and honestly, most of the time the broth part of it sort of ends up stuck in the bowl because everybody just wants all the ingredients. So that is going to sit there for a few minutes until it starts to boil, and then I'll add the egg. So I will turn this back on at that moment. Hold on, see you in a minute. So the soup is still cooking, and we are still waiting for it to come to a really good boil. And that's it for holding on now. Hold on again.
There we go.
Okay, so the soup is now boiling. Good boil. Alright. And now I'm going to add the egg. And I add this. It's already scrambled. I stir the soup a little bit. And I slowly add the eggs.
Slowly add the eggs when you're doing this.
And of course the boiling broth is going to cook the egg.
When it cooks, do not touch.
Alright, and we just stir it a little bit more. Add some more egg.
Just a teeny with a stir in between.
Yeah, let it cook a minute and then stir. And get that all mixed in.
And some more eggs.
Some more eggs.
While you stir gently.
That's right, stir gently.
Never stir fast.
We get all the egg in there.
All the eggs.
Now, if you don't like egg drop soup, you certainly do not need to add the egg. We happen to be big fans
of egg drop soup.
There you go. And of course, then you've got the soup. Now we just let it cook a little bit longer with all that egg in there. And actually the egg cooks right away.
Really fast.
And then, while it's all cooked,
we put some...
And we're going to add just a little bit of sesame oil.
Sesame oil?
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
Sesame oil. It adds a little bit of flavor. I don't use a lot. It's probably about a tablespoon or maybe a little bit more than a tablespoon. And then I mix that in. And the last thing I do, and that's just really for my dad and I because Rachel doesn't care for them, is I add in a couple of frozen dumplings or wontons or whatever you prefer. I just recently picked up this package of this the pork pot stickers, and we really liked them a lot in the soup. Rachel, of course, doesn't care for them. She would rather not have them. So I only put in a few for my dad and I. And I think it's better if you're going to use them, only put in enough for whatever night you're serving it the first time. If you're going to reheat your soup for a second night, add fresh frozen wontons or dumplings or whatever, because if not, when they sit overnight in the soup,
they get yucky.
They get mushy. They turn into like
mushy moss or
very
mushy mud.
Very mushy, and they fall apart. So if you like them to be like a regular wonton or whatever, just put in as many as you're going to eat that night. And then when you reheat with fresh. And that is it. That is the finished product of the wonton, my wonton egg drop bok choy soup. So I hope you guys like it, because I know everybody's been bugging me for this recipe. So here you go. Now you got it in video. And here's my videographer. Say thank you. Thank you. And here's me. Am I on there?
Yep.
That's me. And see ya.